Good morning, everyone. So let's recap what we have considered in the previous session. So we were going through the Gupta dynasty, and in day before yesterday's session, we have considered the various rulers of Gupta dynasty as well as their administration, society, and how was the economy. So I was talking about the recap. Already, as I said, already we have gone through the administration, society, and economy. Then yesterday we have considered the culture. So the culture of oh, right. So in that case, very first thing we have considered, that is the rock cut architecture. Again, in architecture, we have considered the rock cut caves, and then later on, the example of rock cut caves was the Ellora and Ajanta we have considered. Then we have considered the structural temples, right? Whatever may be the temples we do have, right, in that case. So that is the second thing. Then stupas, you have considered the stupas, where you can in these three different things you can have the architecture of the Gupta period. So architecture during Gupta period got a great height. So it had attained a great height. Most of the temples, if you see, so they were ornate and beautifully composed. So the temple buildings were ornated and beautifully composed. Then you can consider the center of Gandhar, right? So which was about the sculptures. It had been declined and it was taken or it was replaced by three different places. There you can consider. So very first thing you can consider in that particular case is the Banaras, Patliputra, and Mathura. So first time in this period, first time the image of Vishnu, Shiv, and other gods, right, got. So again, that is the case you can always consider in this particular point. So this is the okay. Another important thing you can consider a seated Buddha image, which is at Sarnath, is the best specimen, which depicts the Buddha preaching Dhamma. Right. Apart from images, some of the paintings, so the frescoes of Ajanta caves, which are the masterpiece of the paintings of Gupta period. Now, after architecture, next thing we have considered is religious literature. So in religious literature, you can have some of the Hindu texts which were rewritten, some of the Buddhist texts written, some of the Jain texts, again they have written, right? Apart from the religious literature, then next thing which we have considered is secular literature. So in secular literature, you could have the Abhijana, Shakunta by Kalidas, Panchatantra by Vishnu Sharma, right? So likewise, there were some of the scientific literatures as well, Ashtang, Tejas. So that was for the medicine. Then next we have considered, I think in between I have just asked the Shakespeare of India, right? And then later on we have considered the why the Gupta period was the golden age of ancient India. So there were obviously some of the points which are against it, and some of the points which are for that it was a golden age of ancient India. So the supported points are the peace and prosperity which was prevailed during this period, then enlightened character of government, then revival of Hinduism and tolerance of other religions as well. The art of literature flourished, and the great personage lived in this particular period, and therefore it is considered as the golden period of ancient India. So I think this is the part which we have considered. Fine. Now let's okay. So see, as far as ancient India is concerned, so most of the part which is very essential that we have considered. That doesn't mean the whole ancient Indian history we have concluded. No, right? But as far as our preparations of theory exam are concerned, so whatever we have seen is sufficient. Now, in this case, I think the next part is about medieval India. But again, in between, see, medieval India and the Gupta period, there was a post-Gupta period called Vardhana dynasty. So here again, you can find out some of the part. Right? So we have considered a period up to 540. Right? So at the end of 540, we have concluded the Gupta period. But we have considered the ancient India's time period from 30 lakhs BC to 647 AD. Fine. And now we have reached by Gupta period to 640 AD. Fine. So that is the case you can consider as far as the Gupta period is concerned. Sorry, not 640, it was 540. Fine. And then now you can consider from 640 AD onwards, right, to the period you can consider, right, was was as the medieval India, right? But in between the 100 around 150 years from Gupta and the medieval, right? So at 640 or around 650, medieval started, right? So medieval starts at around 650. So what is from 540 to 650? So around these 100 years, right? So there were some other dynasties were there, so which you can consider. I will just mention it, right? So there was a post Gupta period. So this post Gupta period was from, you can consider 550 to 647, right? So both are ADs. And in this case, you had a Vardhana dynasty, right? So Vardhan Gharana, Gharaneshai. Again, in this Vardhana dynasty, you can Pushyabhuti and Vardhana. So two things are there in this particular case. So, but as I said, it had been asked very less as far as your exam is concerned. So in between these, what were the things you could have? So there was Harshavardhan. Right? I will just write the rulers. Harshavardhan. Then later on, the states of Deccan and South India, where you can have Chalukyas, right? So, okay, you can consider. Chalukyas, right? So this is the case we will be always having. Fine. Now, but the medieval India, right, in which you can have the Prithviraj Chauhan. Fine. So that is the part which is going to play a crucial role. So let's go to the medieval India. Fine. So medieval India. Fine. Now in this period, if you consider you can consider it as the Rajput period as well. Fine. So the early medieval period was of Rajputs. So after Harshavardhan, right, post Gupta, after Harshavardhan, the Rajputas emerged as a powerful force in, right. So here you can consider after Harshavardhan, Rajputs emerged as a powerful force, and they have dominated the Indian political scene for nearly about 500 years, right? So you can consider it is from 7th century to the 12th century, right? So, and dominated Indian political scene. So this is the case you can always consider as far as medieval gets started, right? So this is the very first thing you will be always coming across in medieval ancient history of India. So here there was always a tripartite struggle. So who were these three among which the struggle was always there? So there were great powers in India called, right? So you can consider the Parshvabhumi, right? So then later on you can actually have the different Rajputs or the rulers from Rajput, right? So here there was a tripartite struggle. So who were there? Who were uh, who had involved in this struggle? So there were the great powers in India. All the three were great powers, only at different things. I mean, geographically they were at different places. So Palas, right? They were at east. Then Gurjar and Partihara, right? Then Gurjar and Partihara, they were in the north of India, and Rashtrakutas, they were in the Deccan. Fine. So they had always had the tripartite struggle in between these three for supremacy, right? In order to establish the supremacy of them. So for the supremacy among Palas, Gurjars, and Rashtrakutas, there had been a struggle, right? So if you consider the main cause for this struggle was desire to possess a city called Kanauj, right? So why it was? Obviously for supremacy, and also to have a city called Kanauj, right? Called Kanauj. Now see how you have to always consider the 16 different Mahajanpadas, right? And the cities we have considered, right, at the time of seeing its map. Anyway, so in order to have this particular city in either of these regions, right, so they were having struggle. And why the Kanauj was, why everyone wants Kanauj, right? Because it was a symbol of sovereignty. It was a symbol of sovereignty. Right. So that is the reason behind this. Now, if you consider the very first thing in this case, right, that is about the Palas. So who were the Palas? Fine. You can, as like we can consider Pratiharas, right? So first one, you can consider the Palas, right? Because we have mentioned here the Palas, then we can see it. So Munger was their capital, which is in Bihar. So capital is Munger, right, in Bihar for Palas. So who had been established it? It was established by a name called Gopala. So Gopala had established Palas empire. And you know, his son, right, his son, whose name was Dharmapal, had revived Nalanda University, right? Revived Nalanda University, right? So his son had revived Nalanda University and established and founded the another university whose name is Vikram Shila University. Vikram Shila University. Vikram Shila University. So later on, this particular dynasty declined, and it was succeeded by Sena dynasty, right? So Senas were from Bangkok, right? Anyway, the second thing you can consider the Pratiharas. Sorry, Pratiharas. Right? Pratiharas. Now, who were the Pratiharas? So they were also known as the Gurjar Pratiharas, right? Probably because they belong to Gujarat and Rajasthan. So Gujars for Gujarat and probably some part of Rajasthan, particularly the West Rajasthan, right? So because of that, they were also known as the Gurjar Pratiharas, right? So this was it. So who was the greatest ruler of this particular dynasty? So his name is Bhoja, right? So Bhoja was a great ruler of this dynasty. Yes, Mihir Bhoja, exactly, right? Ruler of this dynasty. Fine. So he was the deity of Vishnu and adopted the title called Adivarha. Right? So deity of Vishnu adopted right. He had adopted the title called Adi Varaha. Right, like Maharaja Dhiraj, likewise. Right. Then third one were the Rashtrakutas. Third were Rashtrakutas. Right. So who had established? Okay. Okay. So next one is Rashtrakutas. So who had established this particular dynasty? So thank you, Satyam. In this case, Danti Durga, whose name was Danti Durga, who had founded this kingdom. Okay, founded the kingdom. And Malkhed is their capital. So where is the Malkhed? So it's in Karnataka, particularly in the Gulbarga. Fine. So that is the case you can always consider. Okay, thank you, Saurav. So let's go to the next. So, Rashtrakutas, established by Nandidurga, whose capital was at Malkhet in Gulbarga. So here you can have Nandidurga, then the greatest ruler who was considered as the greatest rulers of Rashtrakutas, whose name is Govinda III and Amogh Varsha. So these were the two rulers which you can consider as the greatest kings of the Rashtrakutas. Fine. So in this case, they have pursued religion and literature, right? Religion and literature to the war. So he was himself as an author. Particularly, I'm talking about Amogh Varsha. So greatest rulers of Rashtrakuta. Rashtrakutas. So first one you can consider Govinda III and Amogh Varsha. Amogh Varsha. See, we cannot, in this particular case, we cannot jump. Therefore, we are just connecting the gaps, right? So obviously, we have to consider the rulers of Rajputas. So Amogh Varsha. So who had himself a what I can consider author, right? So who was writing the poetries in Kannada, right? So he had built the during the Rashtrakutas in the Rashtrakutas there was the king called Krishna I. It has a reference Krishna I. So who had built the temple of Kailash at Ellora? Built a temple of Kailash. Right. So in Ellora caves, whatever you see, the Kailash temple was built by the Rashtrakuta king Krishna I. Fine. So that is the case you can always consider as far as the medieval India is concerned, particularly earlier medieval India is concerned. And then later on, here you can come to the other important rulers, right? So wherein you will be having the Prithviraj Chauhan, right? So you can consider apart from these rulers, right? So next you can consider is Prithviraj Chauhan. Prithviraj Chauhan, right? Prithviraj Chauhan. So see, Prithviraj Chauhan had ruled over Delhi and another place, Agra. Right? He had ruled over Delhi and Agra. And he had fought two important battles called, right, two important battles called Battle of Terrains. So first battle of Terrain, T-E-R-A singular R-A-I-N, right? So which had been in 91. Right now, who was it in between? So it was in between, right? Battle of Terrain with, anybody knows it? And then second battle, yes, Satyam. And second battle of Terrain, right? So it was with the Muhammad Ghori. Muhammad Ghori. And who was the uh, what we can consider winner in the first battle? Anybody? Right. Again, it was in 1992 with the same one, right? With Muhammad Ghori. So, what was the result of first one and second one? Okay, Satyam, that's fine. What about second? Right. So, Ghori was defeated in the first battle. But in the second battle, the Prithviraj Chauhan, right? So, Prithviraj Chauhan defeated. And he captured the kingdom, right? So, the kingdom of Delhi fell to Muhammad Ghori. So the Battle of Tehran had a great significance in the political scene as it led to the new things called establishment of the Muslim ruler, right, over North India, right. So, okay, I will write Tehran battle was significant. But Ghori had again invaded in the next year, right? So whatever you are saying, that was true, but he invaded again, and in the next battle, he could defeat Chauhan, right? So it was significant. Why? Because significant in political scene. Because here, significant political, and why it is significant? To establish the Muslim ruler, right? Muslim ruler over the particularly North India. Subsequently, in the South India for next. Yes, there were these were the different things. See, we have considered only few of the examples, but in the next in the Sultanate period, you will come across the kind of things, right? So every time, see, there are killings, the killings of father by son, killings of son, the killings of brother by younger brother, right? Then making marriages with the brothers' wives, right? Then killing off or throwing away the brothers by sister, then killing off husband by wife, right? So these things have been happened, right? So most of the things, so the same things again, see, in every in this case, those who had ambition, so in order to complete their ambition, they had done whatever necessary, right? And in these things, the closest one are first, right, who are always taken away or who are always asked to do against us. So obviously, father-in-law had done that kind of thing. So then, later on, the Muslim rulers have been there, right, across the India. Now, here you can consider the last Rajput king, whose name was Jaichand, right, whose name was Jaichand Garhwal, or you can consider Rathor. Jaichand Garhwal or Rathor. Rajput, right? So last ruler or king of Rajputs, right? So he was the last Rajput king who had defeated, who was also killed and defeated and killed by Muhammad Ghori, right? So it was in the battle of Chandawar, right? So killed by Muhammad Ghori in battle of Chandawar. Battle of Chandawar, and it was this was taken in 1994, right? So in 92, see, in 91, 92, and 94, he had three different battles. Among these three, two have been won by him, right, and established the Muslim rule or Muslim rulers of India. Okay, anybody wants, you can take.